Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, it's 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃. Thanks for coming. First of all, I want to thank everybody that is in the super chats. Thank you guys for the support that you're giving. It really means a lot to me. And also, I want to really send some greetings to people, but I don't really know your social media handles. If you want a shout out, just write your Instagram and yeah, I give you a shout out. Yeah. And you know what? This is something I landed on, and that's why I named the title Africans Hate Themselves. Because let's first watch these clips and let's talk about it.
I'm not bragging, but this is what happened to me in Uganda. What is the story? Let me tell you what happened. I was supposed to use Kenya Airways to Tanzania, but my friend told me that, hey, we have Air Tanzania. It's a new airline. You can use the Air Tanzania. I was like, wow, let me change my ticket and use Air Tanzania. Because throughout my whole African trip, I'm patronizing African airline. Because I tell you guys that make sure you patronize African airline. So as somebody who is talking about it, I need to set example. From China to Ghana, I use Ethiopian airline. From Ghana to Ethiopia, I use Kenya Airways. From Ethiopia to Rwanda, I use what? I use Ethiopian airline. From Rwanda to Uganda, I use what? Rand Air. So from Uganda to where? Tanzania, I wanted to use Air Tanzania because it's a new airline. So I wanted to promote this airline, that's all. So when I was checking in my bag, I had a vlogging camera with me. So I took a video of my bag, right? My bag, and if you go to if you're taking your ticket, you see a screen there that shows Air Tanzania. That is the only shot that I took on my phone just to talk about it. This is how I got my ticket. I was holding my vlogging camera because it's a small camera. I hold it everywhere I go to. Then there's a lady, immigration officer. She saw me with a vlogging camera. He's like, come here. He's grown enough to be like my mother. I respected her. I went close to her. You know what she told me? He said, you took a photo. I was like, mommy, no. This is my camera. I didn't take any photo. It's like, why are you holding the camera? I said, I can give it to you for you to check. I gave her the camera. She doesn't even know how to use it. I decided to show her the pictures myself. I flipped 1, 2. She said, I want to see your first and last picture. I was like, this is the first and this is the last. The only picture that I have on my phone, the only video I have on my phone was what? When I was putting my bag, checking in my bag. That was the only place that I took video. So this is it. She said, I'm lying. I said, I cannot lie to you. She said, I have the right to make you miss your flight. I was like, what? This is the camera in front of you. You can check it. She didn't believe me that I didn't take any photo because my vlogging camera, anything can happen. So it's just on all the time. So she gave the camera to another person, another immigration officer. The immigration officer checked. They flipped, no pictures. Now, I said, can I have my camera? He said, no, I'm hiding something from there. You know what this guy did? This guy formatted my card. I was like, no way. I went around the whole of Uganda taking beautiful shots. This is the only content that I have about Uganda that I want to show to the world how beautiful Uganda is. This guy formatted the whole card. This guy said he's going to call security on me. And I was like, okay, no problem. But first of all, can I check in? He teared my ticket into pieces, man. Right there. He teared my ticket into pieces. I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Well, as you've seen in the videos, first of all, the first person is Wode Maya, and I think a lot of the people know who he is, especially if you are on social media like YouTube or even other platforms. He's a very good content creator. He's a good person, I would say. I've not met him before, but I could see and I see the things that he's doing for Africa. He's really determined to show the other side of Africa that is not really seen through the Western media, because as always, they portray Africa as poor, as dirty, as everything shitty, like I always say. But there's these kinds of people like Wode Maya that come out and show the other side of Africa. I love it. And it's one of the people that I look up to be actually in the future, because that is something that I also want to do. And I hope that I'll do it actually. So he came to Uganda, my country. I watched this video where really I'm disappointed as a Ugandan, because when you are Uganda itself, where I grew up from, the moment you're my skin tone especially, you are considered as not worthy to be heard. Like, there's a lot of colorism in Africa. Like I did the previous video about you know, colorism in Africa and how people really treasure people that are not dark-skinned. Yeah, so when it comes to our fellow Africans, because this is an African, Wode Maya is a Ghanaian and he's African. So for him to come into Uganda, like you've heard the story, and then Ugandans treated him like he's really a stranger. But then if you come to my country and you go to the airport, honestly, I don't want to lie to you guys. If you are coming from abroad, you're going to be treated special, especially if you have the American passport or UK passport. As long as you're seen as someone who is not really African or Ugandan, I would say, you're given privilege, first of all, at the airport. So Wode Maya experienced this kind of embarrassment because they saw him as another African, like your fellow Africans treat you like you don't deserve to be in the country. But when it comes to other people, I mean, if you go to the airport, honestly, you're going to see how white people are treated. They are treated like gold. Chinese are treated like gold. Indians are treated like gold. When they come into Uganda through the airport, you're going to see them just passing. Like, they don't even need to show a lot of documents. But when it comes to Ugandans to leave the country or go or even travel anywhere, they're going to ask you your bank statement. They're going to ask you anything that you have to come back to see. Like, you're going to be asked a lot of questions, even when you have the documents. Your fellow Ugandans, your fellow Africans will still kind of interrogate you like you've done something evil. It's just crazy, we Africans. And then when I see a lot of us coming out to say, you know, a lot of white people are a problem, when they come and we are the ones that are treating them like gold or whatever they presented themselves to be, then I believe that we need to look into ourselves as Africans. Because if Wode Maya was not someone who was known, because in the story he actually states that if it wasn't him being a content creator or being known by people, because people came and approached him and were asking what's going on, this is Wode Maya, we know him, he was going to be stuck in Uganda without his ticket to go where he was supposed to go. How would you get someone's ticket and tear it down? And they've explained they didn't take any video. That's how we Africans have self-hate, but we don't want to recognize it. We always want to look into other people's faces as they are the problem. But are you a person who's going to see a Nigerian and support them? Are you going to see a Ghanaian and support them? Are you going to see a Kenyan, Tanzanian, or even Algerian and support them? Africans, we need to change. The same thing that happened to MissTrudy. Yeah, they are kind of related, as in they are a couple. Yeah, love in the air, African love. It happened to her too. She came to Uganda. This is the clip.
Saying, oh, you're just from Kenya and you're acting like you didn't know we have. Oh my God, in my own country, Kenya, I didn't know that we have a desert. And I'm in my 20s, all my over 20 years of living and being born in Kenya, I didn't know we have a desert in the north until I went there and I was blown away and I vlogged about it. What is so wrong by me saying that I am surprised Uganda has a national park? I do not understand why people are coming from, and it's not cool, you know, being a visitor. Like, I'm not from your country. You people should be showing me love. It's not like I've hated on your country. I haven't hated on anyone. I've not hated on Ugandans. I've not hated on any location. I'm just speaking my truth. Are we not allowed to speak the truth anymore? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. She came to Uganda. She's from Kenya. I personally, as a Ugandan, have not really traveled to Kenya that much. And I don't know a lot of places in Kenya. I cannot lie about it. So when MissTrudy came to Uganda and then she posted a tweet saying she didn't know Uganda had game rights, right? And apparently, Ugandans attacked her. Yeah, that's my country, Uganda. I mean, we need to really understand that we are in an age of today where we as people have not really seen the world. We don't even see our own countries. Like me personally, I don't know most of the touristic places in my own country. Like, I've not really traveled to every touristic place in my own Uganda. But then when a person from Kenya comes to Uganda and says they didn't know we had that, and then you have to go and attack her and call her all these evil things, I was really taken back. Because to the people that come out like me or Wode Maya or MissTrudy or other people or other content creators that talk about Black unity, African love, African history, African development. And then we have us who attack our own fellow Africans for not knowing things in our countries. I feel like we Africans need to really change, and we need to learn. Like, it's like when I go to Kenya and I really don't know a lot of things in Kenya. That is the honest truth. Even Tanzania, I've not even gone to Rwanda, but they are next to me. And the fact is, right now, we are given a privilege that we have one passport. So now I can really go and see the places. Before I had to get on a plane, you know, to go and see other countries. But now as East Africa, we have one passport where I can just get a bus and then go to Kenya. So when a person comes from another country to your country in Africa, and then you have to treat them like they are nobody because they are African. But when you see another person coming from abroad, especially a white person, you're going to give them the privilege of the world. And then at the end of the day, we Africans are still the same people that are going to come out and complain on how we are not respected when we don't even respect our own selves. There's someone with this clip.
In Nairobi, a majority of the upper class spaces, the expensive restaurants, the high class apartments, the expensive clubs and hotels, the majority of the people there are Black. So I might have experienced sexism and classism, but I have never ever experienced racism until I moved to the fucking coast. A majority of the coastal towns rely heavily on tourism, but in Malindi, it's almost to 90%. So they already view these white people as saviors, and they treat them as such. Nakumbuka there's this one time, me and my ex at the time, we were on a motorbike. Yeye alikuwa na motorcycle, mimi alikuwa akiendesha, mimi nilikuwa nimeketi nyuma. And we stopped to ask this guy for directions to this spice shop we were looking for. And he was telling us, like he was pointing it out, he's like, iko uko Malindi town ndani, we might get lost. So he offered to come with us, but my ex was like, there's not going to be enough space for all of you, and I don't feel comfortable with you saddling up next to her. This motherfucker offered to jog alongside our motorbike for almost 1.5, like, could have been almost 2.5 kilometers. Like a fucking presidential motorcade. As in, tuko kwa motorbike, tunaendesha, ako mguu chuma, anajog tu, sweat, akituelezea turn hapa. And then after all that, he didn't even ask for tip or anything. It was just his pleasure to do a favor for this white man. The houses that my white friends would get shown and the houses that I would get shown on the same budget were really, really crazy different. You'll go to some hotels, they won't even let you in. Some restaurants, unaweza kaa hata 40 minutes, they haven't served you yet. Ama they'll come and ask you, are you waiting for somebody, or before we serve you, can you pay for the drinks first before we even bring you anything? It was crazy. And you'll notice a lot of this treatment was Black people treating me like that. So that's not racism, that's internalized self-hate from years of colonialism. But what that causes is it actually leads these white people to believe that they actually are better than you. These flower rangers will have whole ass events and publish posters in Italian and put them all over the town. They will have their restaurants and then they won't allow Black people kuingia. Unaulizwa na maaskari kwa gate, do you have a special invitation? In your own country, they will hold concerts and hire fly-in DJs all the way from their country to come and sing at musical concerts here, and you're not allowed. They will open businesses without licenses and cops will not even sumbua them. Do you know how that affected my self-esteem after some time?
So this is a Kenyan lady. She had a white boyfriend, right? And then she's saying in that video, they went to a certain place in Malindi, that is in Kenya. They went to a certain hotel, and she's saying she was treated differently than they were treating the white person. Like typical Kenyan people as themselves as Africans were treating her like she didn't matter. But when it came to the white guy, he was treated like royalty. She goes on to say on how certain places in our African countries are given privilege to the other races of people than us ourselves. It also happened in Uganda, where certain hotels were not allowing us Ugandans to access, but they were allowing foreigners mostly to be the ones in that place, and it was a really nice place. Imagine these people get a lot of privilege in our countries and it's given to them by our fellow Africans, but then we want to come out and act like we are victims to the world. No, we need to do better. It's something that is really internally in our bodies, that was put in our bodies. And I don't really want to blame a lot of white people, but I think it's also something that our ancestors carried. Because if you still have the trauma that you say, oh, I have this trauma because of my ancestors, then I do believe even the self-hate is also from our ancestors, because the way we are today is still how our ancestors were, maybe a bit different. So really, Africans, we need to do better. When you see a fellow African, just treat them better, because at the end of the day, when they know that you're from Africa, you'll never be favored to the maximum. That is the reality of things. We treat other people, other races, white people, Chinese, Indians, any other group of people, we treat them like royalty. But when it comes to us, fellow Africans, we treat ourselves like animals, literally. This has to stop and I can't stand it. So that was it for today. I hope you liked the video. Tell me what you really think, because I feel like Africans need to stop the victimization and we start working on ourselves to grow and develop our continent. That is the only way. I mean, the way they treated MissTrudy and then Wode Maya and then these other people, like normal people, yeah, it's too much. Yeah, that was it for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.